Hey nerds, today we are going to be playing one of my favorite games, Core Keeper. And I'm not a pro at this game by any means. I've only ever really played it once. And when I say I've only played it once, I mean I've only played many hours on one single character. But I wanted to try this again on my own because originally when I played with my partner, Monkey HQ. And this time, I kind of want to just try things on my own. And so I decided I would start a new character and see how it goes. Naturally, I have to make myself in every single game that I ever play. So green hair, green eyes, and then the most goth options that they possibly have. You know the drill. I decided I wanted to play as a miner because I wanted to start out with the mining skill, since that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing for most of this game is mining. So, yeah. In a place far away from anywhere else. I thought about skipping this intro, and then I thought, no, I won't. You are part of a group of explorers making your way through the forest. I usually skip intros. Feeling a strange presence, you notice something between the trees. If it were me, I would not approach. Drawn to it, you approach this strange relic and raise a hand towards it. Once again, I would have just left. Upon touching its surface, a blinding light engulfs you. And now we're in a cave, and it's spooky and dark. And there's a weird heartbeat noise that's also very strange. Ta-da! And we are in the mine, and it's super freaking dark. And I had to sit here and think, how do I play this game again? It's been months. So I just obviously start hitting everything in sight and decide I need to clear a path, or more or less, I need to clear a whole area to start figuring out my base. For this episode, I'm just going to be focusing on building a very initial base, nothing super fancy or super pretty, just very basic with all the starting equipment and starting resources so that I can prepare to beat the bosses on my own, which is going to be quite the challenge because I have never beat them on my own. So we're going to watch me struggle together. But I'm not going to make you watch this at the regular speed, or else we would be here for the next 5 hours because I'm very picky and I'm very tedious about getting everything caught up. And honestly, I also thought about just leaving all of the audio in and just letting you sit here and listen to this audio sped up to 3 times the speed because, I don't know, maybe the ASMR folks really enjoy it. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is something that you enjoy or not. You should let me know in the comments below on your preference for these types of videos. And while you're doing that, definitely drop me a subscribe. Any engagement helps, and it encourages me to make more content for you. So, let me know. Do you want to be able to hear all of this? How fast do you want to see it happen? Let me know. Anyways, I really wanted to clear out this entire area so that I just ended up with a giant square. I don't know what it is about these games that just make me want to make everything in a straight line or a square, but that's what I'm doing. And then when I did play with my partner, we ended up getting to the point of making a railway system, and having those straight direct lines across the map was incredibly helpful. So you'll notice a lot of the times I'm trying to just make a straight line so that when I do get to the point of having a rail system, it'll be pretty easy to implement, but we've got a ways to go before that actually happens. And I couldn't really decide how much space I wanted in this area, so it took me quite a bit to figure out how I wanted to spread this out. And then once I found the water source, I thought, okay, well, I know I'm going to need to have a garden, and it's much easier to have a garden if you're right next to a water source, because until you get access to a bucket, you're going to be carrying that water source back and forth to water all your garden, and that's super annoying and tedious, and I didn't want to do that because I'm just doing it by myself. So I knew that I wanted to build my base near this water source and build my garden right next to this water source. It was just a matter of figuring out how, because the other part of this game that I enjoy is making things look pretty. So that was some other considerations that I had of, okay, how am I going to make my base look nice, but also be effective and useful? I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I love the audio and visuals of this game. Even though it's like a 2D sort of pixel art game, it's actually one of my first games that's this like art. I used to actually actively avoid games that looked like this because I felt they didn't look pretty enough, essentially. So I kind of just avoided them, and my partner was like, let's just try this game out. And I was hooked pretty much instantly. And the audio of the game is really nice, and the visuals, like, look at the water. Like, it's just a really pretty game. It's simple, but it's very pretty and it's very effective. And I could definitely get lost in this game for days on end just by how nice it looks. So at this point, I've sort of picked out the place I want my base to be at. I obviously didn't make enough flooring, and I'm still kind of remembering what the mechanics of the game are since it has been several months since I've actually played. So I naturally have to build a little square house that's not anything fancy right now. Like I said, it's just really basic, but I can't just leave my character out sleeping in a cave like some sort of peasant. That's not something I can do. I can't live with myself that way. That would be very upsetting. So I create this little area, and then I remember I don't know how to make doors, and I don't think at this point I can, to be honest. So I'm just trying to get everything that I need, the very basic fundamental stuff here set up. For a little while, I was sort of panicking because I couldn't remember if there was a way to rotate objects, and maybe there is, and I still just can't remember what it is to do that. So if things look a little goofy and you're wondering why, it's probably because I just forgot how to do something, which, you know, not a big deal. I'll figure it out. I forgot how little storage there is in this game when you first start out, and so I started getting a little bit stressed out because there's just so much stuff, and I really want to keep things as organized as possible. That's probably one of my favorite things about these types of management crafting games is actually the organization of materials. It gives me those like happy little brain feels to have all these chests with all of these items just perfectly organized and easy to access, but when you're first starting out, it's a little difficult. So at this point, I am trying to find rock or iron or copper, really anything that I can use to make my very basic tools. So I'm sort of just digging aimlessly in the dark, which again, I really don't like this because I can't see anything, but I have to be able to get these items first before I can then make a lantern so I can actually see what's going on. So you'll just have to suffer with me while I navigate through the darkness looking for shiny things, which who wouldn't want to do that, right? I was actually really inspired to do this style of video from another YouTuber that I really admire and look up to, Ambiguous Amphibian. If you've not checked out his content before, he does a lot of really good playthroughs of games, and honestly, a lot of the games that he plays through, just by watching his playthroughs, I automatically run to Steam and I buy those games because he plays a lot of different management style games similar to this, and games like RimWorld, and I could just watch him play games forever. Now, he typically does like goofy challenges and things, and I don't know if I'm good enough at these types of games to quite do challenges yet. I may do challenges in the future if that's something people are interested in seeing. I just honestly don't know what I would do. And then the other part of this is I was super worried about, well, what the heck am I going to talk about for, 20, 30 minutes? Do I have anything interesting to say to folks? And it's a real struggle because what do you say, right? I can talk about what I'm thinking when I'm doing this stuff in the game. Some of it, though, honestly, I'm not really putting that much thought into it. I'm sort of just kind of going to this Zen mode of digging tunnels in the dark and looking for shiny things to hit with a hammer, which, maybe that's relaxing to some people. It's relaxing to me. And just the sounds in the game alone are pretty exciting and pretty decent ASMR. And speaking of ASMR, I bought slime, and it actually arrived in the mail today. And so I did this little unboxing video, and it was really cool. The unboxing video wasn't super great, I guess, but it was, you know, first try. It was pretty neat. And the slime itself was not disappointing. I got a slime that smells like chocolate chip cookies, and the other slime smells like peaches and cream, which is pretty interesting. Well, actually, it kind of smells like orange sherbet ice cream. So, yeah, but you can't eat it. That's the thing. It looks like food and it smells like food, but it's definitely not food and you should not eat it. So don't do that. And at this point, I am making my little garden, trying to go back to talking about what the heck I'm doing in this game. Again, just trying to sort materials to figure out what goes where with the extremely limited space that I'm having. And I'm realizing at this point, I probably need to build a much bigger base. But again, the whole purpose of this video is just to get through getting my basic tools built so that I can start building armor and tools that are made out of copper. And then I think the next step up from copper is tin. So I'm just trying to get very basic stuff. This ends up getting really squished in here, which will change again in the next video. I'll make a bigger base, make it a little bit prettier, but you know, we just need to get our girl set up. Get her rocking and rolling with materials and supplies and things like that. God, I love those water noises so much. They're very calming to me. I don't know how you feel about water in video games, but I feel like if you can get water to look pretty in a video game, you're doing something right. And it's usually like, I don't even know how to explain it, water in video games. I'm always drawn to it, like even in Fortnite or what are some other games. Even in Minecraft, the water's like kind of cool to look at and go check out. However, underwater in video games, ugh, horrible anxiety. It makes me think of the episodes, the levels in Crash Bandicoot games where you're swimming underwater. Yeah, those are probably some of the first instances of experiencing anxiety as a child. It's doing that. But I like looking at water in video games. I just don't like being underwater in video games. Even if I can't die, like in Final Fantasy XIV, it just makes my stomach just not feel great. So I do try to typically avoid that. One idea I sort of had about making videos like this, if this ends up being something that people like, and I feel like it's something that I enjoy, because while it's great if you enjoy it, if I don't enjoy it, then it's probably not something worth doing, right? So if it's something that I end up enjoying, I'm thinking, do I just talk about the game and sort of my thoughts behind what I'm doing and why I'm doing it? Or do I treat this sort of like a diary? Do people want to know about me as a person, or do they just want to know about what I think about this game? And maybe I can just sort of go back and forth on that, on different things. But yeah, here I'm still doing that like straight line thing back to my base, really just trying to get those. I think I'm going for tin at this point in the game. Yeah, I think I'm going for tin and copper, which are decent resources, because ultimately by doing this game alone, I'm really going to need to have good weapons and good buffs and good armor, or else I'm just going to get stomped by the bosses. And it's not that I'm bad at video games, I just don't like a challenge sometimes. I just want to play my little buildy management sim game and not have to actually stress out about how to beat a boss. This is probably why I don't like Dark Souls games, because it's too much losing for me. I just want to wear cute glam, build houses, grow a little virtual garden because I won't go outside in real life. And that's all I really want to do in a game. And so it's cool that there's bosses in this game because it adds a little bit, you know, an element of challenge. I've never beat these bosses by myself, so I'm a little bit nervous about how I'm going to do that and how frustrating it might be, both for me to do and for you to watch. So we'll see how it ends up going. And here I'm still trying to like organize all my stuff. I like to have a box for finished metals, and I like to have a box for raw items, and then a box for my gardening supplies, and a box for my cooking supplies, and a box for my building supplies. But I built my house kind of small because, again, we're just starting out. So I'm getting a little frustrated here trying to get everything organized where I want it to go. Also, make sure when you are playing this game and you get your repair bench that you don't accidentally trash your tools. I used to do that a lot when I first played this game because I would accidentally use the, it's like a scrap button that's right next to the repair tool. Ugh, God. It would make me want to cry when I would just trash a really nice tool because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Which, if you've watched me play any video games before, it's a theme. I don't pay attention a lot of the times, which is also probably why I don't want to have too much of a challenge because I just don't have the attention span for it anymore. I just want a pretty game where I can run around and build stuff and make stuff look nice. I don't think that's too wild of an ask here. But I am trying to have the forethought right now of just trying to stay in straight lines so I could build a railway. I stray from it a little bit because I am desperately searching for tin, but I'm still trying to stay within the line and then drop as many torches as possible because it is dark in this game, and that's really frustrating. And since the last time I played this game, there were not these little mushroom enemies, so these are new enemies for me that must have been released in some update. And apparently there is a Halloween event coming up or going on, or an update or something that I saw on Steam. I don't know what that could be because I didn't actually read about it, but oh, look at that, I died. Get used to seeing that, because that is going to happen a lot while I solo this game. But luckily when I die, I only lose what's in like my bigger inventory, and I honestly try to not have anything in my bigger inventory if I can help it, because I'm usually, you know, on the hunt for something. And I don't want to run out of room, because that's super irritating. What I did learn from my partner is to always have enough on me to make a little crafting bench, so that I can always craft things like bridges. Because there's so many points in this game where you need to build a super long bridge because it's just a black hole drop-off cavern thing, or it's water that you need to be able to cross. So always make sure that you have enough wood on you to make a crafting bench, and you'll be able to cross any hole that you come across. I don't know if that makes any sense. You should probably get used to me saying really weird, sussy phrases because these videos are not going to be scripted at all. I do typically make videos, or I have in the past made videos that are fully scripted tutorials, usually aimed at streamers and content creators on different tools and educational technologies and things of that nature. And I'm really excited about trying this style of video out and seeing if this is something people enjoy, because it's not scripted, and it's also not focused on helping streamers or content creators. It's more accessible, I think, to anybody who just likes watching people play video games or just hearing somebody talk about their day or about their life or what they're thinking, rather than just something that's totally focused on, hey, this is just for small streamers or small content creators. This content is for anybody, honestly. You don't have to be a content creator to hopefully enjoy this. And for me, that's exciting, because there's not a lot of content that I make where that's been a thing in the past. So I'm really hoping that I can do more videos like this, and that I continue to enjoy it, and that you also enjoy it in some way. And of course, you know, definitely give me feedback if there's things that you think I should be doing differently or more of or less of. I want to know. I want to know your feedback. Obviously, don't be a jerk about it if you can help it, but definitely any feedback is super appreciated. Just like if you subscribe, it's super appreciated, because it is totally free to do that. And it's extremely helpful for me. I am trying to push for that 1K subscriber goal on YouTube because I'm really interested in being partnered with YouTube rather than being solely on Twitch and trying to push for partner on Twitch. I think YouTube partner is more my style, and I would really like to do that someday. So any engagement and feedback is super appreciated. And you'll notice here, if you've played this game before, I just found the slime boss up in the north side of my map. So he's not too far from base, which is helpful because I will probably die multiple times when I'm trying to face him later. So I'm happy that I found him and that he is close to my base. So I will be able to die and quickly run back, and hopefully his damage won't be completely undone whenever I leave, but we'll find out. Sort of jumping back to that idea about making content that's more accessible for everybody, I find myself as a streamer, as a content creator, that I can't really share my content, the content that I make currently, with friends or family outside of the streaming circle. Like, my partner and I, we have a podcast, and I'm really, really proud of that podcast, and I love it, and I want to continue doing it. But I also know that when I share it with like my mom or with anybody outside of the streaming circle, it's not as easily understandable, and it may not have as much value. And that's kind of a bummer for me because it's something I'm proud of, but it's not a discourse that they're a part of, so they're not really going to understand what's going on in that podcast. So I'm hoping I can use this as a way to sort of bridge that gap between the content that I make for content creators and the content that I make for anybody that likes games or, like I said, just likes listening to somebody talk, because sometimes that's comforting too, regardless of what that person's doing. I'm going to apologize, as I said in the little like text message on the screen here. Our dog Robin is very sensitive to weather and rain, and so whenever it rains or storms, he kind of just walks around the house and cries. There's not really a whole lot that we can do about it, so I apologize if you're hearing him cry in the background. He's totally okay. He's just a little bit of a big baby, but he is doing okay. So as you can see here, I have the house all set up with all of the basic things that I need to start making my very basic tools. I have my bed. Definitely going to need to create a much bigger base and a much bigger house to accommodate all of the stuff that I need. But this will get me by as I continue to upgrade. So probably in the next episode, I will be building a bigger base, potentially a bigger garden, though I don't know if I need to have a super huge garden because it's just me, so we'll see. But I definitely need a much, much bigger base to work with. But I will be wrapping this video up. Again, if this is something that you enjoyed and you would like to see more of, or if you have any feedback, comments, or questions, anything regarding this video, like, follow, subscribe, and comment below. Bye.